Hello everyone, it's Supra, and I've decided after a couple months of inactivity I was going to conform an analysis on Rush as a game mode in Battlefield 4, and Naval Strike specifically after what one of the developers had to say concerning both of those. I'm also going to expand upon smoke tools, as Rush is where I felt they were most used in my experience. I know that Rush has become somewhat of a topic amongst other producers, so it's a good time I spill the beans on how I feel as DICE make an attempt to address it with Naval Strike. And I'm going to try not to sound too pessimistic about it. I've loved Rush, and up till Battlefield 4 it was my primary game mode since it was introduced in Bad Company, so when Firewall had explained on the EA Naval Strike broadcast that the maps were optimised for Rush, it gave me some ambition, something to cling on to Battlefield 4 for whatever the 80 quid's worth of an enjoyable experience was left of it. As it stood, Rush among the game itself was hilariously poorly portrayed. A lot of MCOM placements feel unjust and no one defends them, and the maps feel empty a lot of the time, which wouldn't be such an issue had the smoke tools in Battlefield 4 been actually useful. Commander and Levolution are a couple other features that intend to hurt Rush gameplay. So let's expand and clarify the status of smoke tools in Battlefield 4, which conclude of the M18 hand grenades, the M320 and the XM25. Players often make the mistake of screening themselves or their teammates, which can in fact be more dangerous than not using the tools at all, as it will alert the enemies of where you intend to move. To counteract this, I would always screen the enemy's position instead. Makes more sense, which concludes that the M18s aren't of practical use in an open environment. So your options are the M320 in the Assault class and the XM25 in Support. As an attacker, Assault is the most rational option out of the two. You have the ideal weapon and tools as a medic to keep yourself and your teammates healthy and moving. As it stands, the M320 smoke needs significant adjustment if it's going to see any usability. Compared to Battlefield 3, they're about 30% smaller and shorter in duration. They really are nowhere near as effective. Now that we've got our tools out of the way, let's discuss the format of the Naval Strike maps. To be honest, I didn't think much apart from that they all looked pretty much the same, and that's going to continue to violently strangle the use of aircraft. Now that Naval Strike has released after they delayed it to fix fuck all, most of us have had a good enough taste of how self-harm inducing Rush plays out. I don't intend to sound endlessly negative, but Naval Strike is the worst DLC to run Rush on by far and away. The attackers spawn with the same incompatible armament on their carrier virtually outside of the map and fail to push fast enough up a hill where the defenders lay with their snipers and manpads. Seems like only on Wavebreaker after the first base should you somehow manage to pass as an attacker do the defenders end up with the ridiculous odds of spawning too far away from the MCOMs they are deemed to defend against an RCB and a Venom. The developers will have to tweak this at some point though. So yeah, Rush is a disaster for the attackers in Naval Strike. But at least there's a fucking Megalodon, yay! Looks like it's CQ Dom and CQ Large for the rest of this game's life. Hopefully this video was neg enough for you, but the conclusion is that you don't have any natural geometry for concealment on Naval Strike as a Rush attacker, and the tools that we have don't offer a feasible difference. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll talk to you later.